Are you and Josh happily married?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was something we talked about from the beginning, that this was going to be a slower burn than season one, and like how to kind of, I think we talked sometimes about Age of Innocence, and like Scorsese approaching this story that, where there's none of the outward violence that had, typified his movies to that point, but you can feel the violence in that story in such an extreme way. And like, how could we kind of give these hints in episode one that like, yes, this is, like this seems a little calmer at first, but like it's going, don't worry, like we're going to get there. We're going to go to places and we're going to still live up to that same thing that you expect from Beef when we get to the end of this, but we're going to get there in a different manner. And then I think, yeah, just the complication of having so many perspective characters this time, where it's like, it's not so obvious in any given scene, like who you want to weight it towards, but you need to be clocking all of the ways, that all of the divisions and the kind of slights and lies that are setting them off and setting them apart in their different directions. Yeah, well, it was so, I mean, first off, I am a gigantic Inside Llewyn Davis fan as well. It's just an incredible movie about art and the artistic process, and such like a great, really dark comedy in so many ways, like when he plays the song and it just says, I don't see a lot of money in this, But I think like the other thing is, yes, like they, this is their third project together. And so like they have such an incredible comfort with each other, and they really look out for each other and protect each other. And so it was really fascinating watching them work with Sonny, who they hadn't worked with before. And kind of one thing that Sonny is so great at is writing for the actor. Like once they're involved, he's not precious about the scripts in the sense that like if they have notes and thoughts and ways to make it their own, like he can really write to their voice in a way that, like I always talked about like the kind of triangle on season one between Sonny, Steven, and Danny, and like what a strong triangle that was between the character and what each of them were bringing to the part. And so to get to watch that here, like split into those two and then eventually all of these characters and how much each of them were bringing to it was really, really special. And, the thing with Oscar and Carey is like they just absolutely will not play a moment unless it feels honest and real. Like they're always going to be guardians of that for their characters. And so, that really holds you to an incredibly high standard as you're making something. It was just so fun. I mean, they're just like both of them are such incredible actors, and it's just fun to get to work with people like at that point in their career where like everything is starting to open up for them and they're getting to think about like what kind of actor they want to be. And they just worked so well together. And yeah, like the fun of that kind of, like I think in the wrong hands, like that sort of, you need to establish that kind of puppy dog love, as you said at the beginning, but then also kind of show that there's something else underneath it and then have them break apart. I think in the wrong hands, that could have felt like a caricature. If you don't get that right, it's a very delicate thing. And they were so, so good at the fun of that and the kind of projection onto each other of what they want the thing to be. And then to watch, in order to do, the show Beef and to do Sonny's writing, like you have to be able to portray like such a level of interiority, because so many of the beats are what happens in between the lines when the camera's just on your face and you're reacting and it's showing what you're hiding or, what you're not revealing. And both of them were just amazing at that. So it's really fun to watch them kind of take that on. Yeah, I think, I mean, in the script, it says like they wonder, that it isn't definitive. You know what I mean? It's not that they regret the choice or that he regrets what he's done. It's that they're maybe just starting to come to that point, that where they're tipping into where Josh and Lindsay were, where it's like the cracks are starting to show. And I think that that's what's so sort of interesting about, where Sonny wanted to go at the end of the season, is that it doesn't make strong value judgments about the choices that are made. And it doesn't tell you like this is the right choice or it should have been this version of love, but more this idea of cycles, and that whatever choice you make, you may find yourself at these moments along the way and through this journey that all of our characters are sort of trapped in. And so that's sort of what we talked about for that scene. And again, that's a very subtle thing to have to portray, where it doesn't feel like we're telling you that this is all wrong, but also not that it's fine.
Don't people say you shouldn't be looking for the right person, but actually the right wrong person?